Oh, yeah, don't do the I don't like the
Mom, why wouldn't you let me donate?
Okay, let's start again.
What's
What
Hey everyone!
Welcome to Dexperience.
Dexperience
You're
coming
listening.
at you.
Dexperience.
Oh, echoes. You're listening with Logan,
Dennis.
Logan.
Harry.
Harry. Oliver.
Oliver, and today we're going to be discussing Episode 8, The Road to the Pokemon League, and Episode 9, The School of Hard Knocks. Whoa! Okay. So first of all, actually, guys, I'm going to just quickly, I thought a good jumping point might be, what two starters would you pick from the first two generations of video games?
Can
That's
it be
easy,
any
man.
Pokemon or does
Squirtle
it?
and
It has to be
Totodile.
one of the starters.
Okay.
Squirtle and Totodile. Hands down.
The water Pokemon, huh?
The two water Pokemon. I'm
I-
a strong water Pokemon fan up until about Gen 5.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if I had to pick from those two gens specifically, I'd be Squirtle and then Cyndaquil.
I'd go... See, I always want to pick Bulbasaur, but then I'm like, no. So I go Charmander. And then I'd go... I had to look it up because I never played the second gen. But I'd probably go Cylindriqual as well. Is that his name?
Cylindrical.
Cylindriquil.
Because
Alright,
that's who I always got picked as for Mystery Team. The
Mystery Dungeon.
Mystery Dungeon. Yeah.
Good old Cyndaquil.
Well, as usual, I have the only correct answer, which is, of course, Chimchar and Totodile.
Oh, yeah.
Chimchar.
Yeah.
No,
sorry.
Gen 1 and 2.
Charmander.
Oh,
What did
the
you say?
correct answer.
Chimchar?
Sure. Oh, no, I meant
That's
Charmander.
it.
Chimney,
The
chimney,
two
chim
Chars.
chim,
The two Chars
chimney.
mix me up.
We sing a lot on this podcast.
Okay,
Should we just dive into
dive
the
right
episode?
in. Yeah, because we got two to talk about.
Yeah, there's
So-
a lot to chew on.
Well, these two episodes are the first kind of like filler episodes, aren't they?
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
they are. Well, yeah, they are actually.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some world building, but then it doesn't really come back at all.
No, and also I guess the connecting theme of these episodes is they're
Training.
about training styles.
Yeah.
And
How
there's
to
not
train your Pokemon.
How to train your
It's my
flame
favorite movies.
Dramon.
Yeah, it's not just one style as Ash learns.
No,
Mm.
a lot of different ways, and maybe some are better than others. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Everyone has different opinions on how to train and how
It's
to battle.
It's
you know?
like
Yeah.
vaccinations.
Oh my! Okay, let's swerve
Oh.
past that topic.
Yeah, let's
So the episode
let's
starts with
skip past
the-
that train.
with our trio not quite knowing which way to go, but Misty brings up Vermilion City because she wants to go see the cruise ship, which fans of the game will know is the SSN.
I'm looking forward to talking about that when
Yeah.
it shows up. I hope.
And
It's
then
great series.
Ash is kind of like, I don't want to go see a boat just because it's romantic. And then Brock's like, I heard there's a gym there. And
not Brock's voice, but you know.
I heard there's a
give
gym
it
there.
shot.
You know what? Yeah, Brock is just straight up Saddle Kaiba, Logan. You can do that.
And so, so then they go on their way to Vermilion City, and then Ash, and then Misty's like, "There's lots of strong trainers on the way." And then there's an off-screen like training montage, basically.
Yeah, Ash says like he's fought 10 trainers or something in a row.
We see him
Yeah.
beating the 10th trainer when we come back.
Mhm.
I want to know if he counts Brock and Misty in that equation.
I don't-
Because
Oh, that's a
technically
good
he
point.
didn't beat them.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think he does. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he does. I don't know. Because he
Well,
also
he counts
Ash-
the badge victories in that, so I'm assuming he does. But like he didn't beat them.
Mm.
So eventually the trio walk around and then they come across a gym, or so it seems.
Yeah, the guy he bet, the 10th person he bet, told him about this AJ character who's never
Yeah.
lost.
I think it's important to note how like cocky Ash is right now.
Yeah.
Like, he's flexing his badges.
Yeah, he
to the
keeps-
Pokemon
he's like-
trainer, and
he's like-
whatever.
He's like, I got 2 badges.
2 badges.
I have
Like,
8 that I bought. It's not that hard to get them, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this trainer thinks Ash is like the best though. He's like, wow. He's like
Yeah.
fully like bought into
And he didn't even earn them like
No, not really.
Like,
yeah.
Not the proper way.
in a victory, you know, like in a proper victory.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, Ash. So then they come to this gym, and like outside the gym, it's like, what does it say? It's like never been It's like AJ undefeated,
It's unofficial,
and it's got like
as well.
98-0. So 98 wins, 0 losses. Yeah, and then it's like not an officially licensed gym.
So it's kind of like, he's like a backdoor practitioner type, like an underground,
Yeah.
not sanctioned.
It's like a roadside zoo type thing.
Yeah, it's like he has
Like
a
a-
circus top and everything.
Yeah.
He's a back alley doctor. Like
Yeah.
Takamaki from Persona 5.
Like,
We all
I
get
feel
that.
like there's a reason that he's not officially sanctioned, as we will find out.
Yeah, definitely. So we go into his that kind of tent. Oh no, he comes out and he's like, he looks like Ash.
He does.
he?
Yeah.
He looks like
I
a
don't
Ash
get
if he was
that.
5
has,
years
like-
older.
Yeah,
He
I
has
thought he was
green
going to be like
hair.
some kind of relation to Ash. I thought that might be a big reveal, but it didn't.
Drama.
Yeah,
Intrigue.
I was expecting that. But yeah, he kind of just like, you can't beat me. And then,
And he's also southern for some reason,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
Oh,
his
that's
voice
right.
is super southern.
yeah, and
It's
then,
quite off-putting.
well, yeah, sounds quite like hillbilly-ish, I guess, is kind of
Yeah.
like. And I guess he runs like a backwater like gym, so it kind of like fits the character. And then so he grabs out his Sandshrew. They challenge each other to a fight, and it's Pikachu. Oh no, it's Pidgeotto versus Sandshrew.
Yes, that's right.
Mhm.
And he brings out a whip. AJ, who owns the unofficial gym, he has like this whip that he brings out, and he's just like,
Starts whipping his Pokemon.
he uses the whip to kind of be like, to give commands, I guess.
Yeah,
It's
he's
an
not
interesting-
hitting the Pokemon.
Yeah.
He's he's communicating with his Sandshrew
Yeah.
Through
via
whip.
whip noises.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, how did Sandshrew grow to learn what the whip does if he like when he makes that?
Oh, jeez.
It's like
Oh.
Given
conditioning.
revelations
it's like elephants,
later in
like,
the episode.
It's like
Yeah.
that's what they do with
Yeah.
elephants. Like they have like the noises or something, can like from like a young age. So then even like a fully grown elephant eventually gets scared of like a certain noise, and that's how they like break its spirit, basically.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
really
cool.
that's
You know-
really sad.
Fun fact.
Fun times.
Fun fact, the original Pokemon trainer, like your main character, was going to have a whip.
Really?
Yeah, like in the beta version, like before it came out.
It's messed up.
Yeah. It was a different
That is
time.
messed up.
Yeah. So Ash gets whooped.
He
It's just what I
does.
wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
And he keeps using his flying type Pokemon, and AJ's using a Sandshrew. And Ash is like, he's pretty much like, I have the high ground. He's like,
I have the high ground. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
ground
Yeah, I
types
should have
can't
the
hit flying
advantage.
types, but as we see, it's not really how it works in the anime.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, also
Ash
like it's not really how it works in the games. If you have like an OP Pokemon that's like a different type, it'll beat. Ash.
Yeah, it'll still beat it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's something I noticed during that whole fight. They were saying like flying is strong against ground type, which I
Yeah.
don't think is true. It's like
not
at best
super
neutral.
effective. It's just that ground
Can't
moves
hurt
can't
flying.
hurt
Oh,
flying
yeah.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
So I think
So
maybe
it
that's
has a
where they
defensive
got that.
advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before the battle, there was a cute interaction with Brock and Misty and AJ because
Right.
Ash was like, "I have 2 badges," and AJ's like, "What backwater places did you get those badges from?"
Oh,
Yeah.
And then like, which
Backwater and Rick him, Ash. or
yeah,
something like that.
I always
Yeah.
thought that was like a really cute interaction. That was what really sold the dynamic for me when I was a
Yeah.
kid watching it for the first time. I was like, okay, I get it now. They're like really fun.
Yeah, because they were all against Ash fighting this guy. They just thought Ash was like showing off. But then as soon as AJ made that comment, they were like, nah, get him, Ash.
Yeah.
So Ash
Like,
loses.
it's nice to show that like Brock and Misty still care about their gyms as well, because of them leaving, like they could be in people's mind thinking that they just don't care anymore. But then to have them defend very passionately with fire in the background and fire in the eyes, literally, it really helps their characters. It's a good addition.
Yeah. It's pretty good. But Pikachu refuses to help as well. He doesn't want to get whooped.
Yeah, so Ash loses by default, I guess, because he has no usable Pokemon.
And then he's up to 99 wins. Good on AJ.
Yeah.
Good old
And then
AJ.
then we find out a little bit more about AJ. We follow AJ into the tent.
Actually, before we go into the
yeah.
tent, though, Team Rocket we go to like binoculars of Team Rocket,
Yeah,
and they dish out some good fashion burns.
they do.
Like Jesse's like, oh, that shirt's 100 years old, or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then James says something as well, but I can't remember what it is. Oh well.
James
Yeah.
always says something.
Yeah, they're just fun. So we go into the tent, and
It's like a torture tent.
it
That's
is,
what
you
I
see
thought.
like
Oh.
you see
Apparently
like
a torture tent.
you
They should
see
have that as a sign.
you see like
Come on
several
in.
you see like several instances of abuse, treated well, Pokemon training through very like extreme methods, like a Rattata is jumping through a hoop that's on fire. I mean, is the fire necessary for the hoop?
I guess it's like fire resistance training.
Yeah, I guess so.
And he keeps making his Sandshrew dive into the water. And they're wearing like
These kind of braces that kind of make them curl inwards.
yeah, and also I guess it's also like weighted,
Yeah.
is what I assume.
Which
That
in the
they
games
reminded me of the Macho Brace.
Yeah, that's
from
what
yeah.
I
That's
wanted
what
to
I
bring
got.
that up because they
That's
do
what I
have
got.
these in the game technically.
Yeah.
yeah.
What's a macho bro?
It's like in the game you can have your Pokemon wear them and it doubles the effort values they gain. So it looks kind of like
To up
what's
their stats.
yeah,
Yep.
it looks kind of like what Sandshrew wears in this episode.
Oh my god. So we see it as unethical when we actually see it, but in the games it's fine.
Yeah.
Kind of.
For sure.
Like, cool.
But
Nature
what really
Brace.
got me is having like seen AJ forcing a Sandshrew to swim in water.
Yeah, and he
So
kept
obviously
doing it.
ground is weak to rock, and it was just it
To
was
water.
it was really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I
Sandshrew
think
didn't seem to mind though.
I think he did the first time,
Oh,
but then, like
okay.
behind when he knew that Ash and Misty and all went there. But then
Yeah.
when they made their president, he's like, "No, I'm good. I'm good."
And then
Mhm.
kind of like Ash is like kind of telling him off, and then he like appeals to Brock, who we know wants to be a good breeder when like is his goal. And then Brock's like, yeah, I'll help. And he's just like, what kind of food do you feed these guys?
Yeah.
Like just brushes it off.
yeah, and you know what's funny is I think as we're playing the games, we're all AJ. We're the ones that are like training our Pokemon to battle. They're not our friends in as much.
What do you mean? Yes, they are.
Well,
How
I'm
do
not.
You see
Yeah,
your Pokemon.
I mean,
I'm
like-
not like forcing my ground types to train against water type Pokemon.
Yeah.
I forced my water type to be able to fight against every single type in
But you can
That's
do
true,
that with
yeah.
like knowledge and stuff. Say you have a Sand Slash and you're gonna face a Tentacruel. It's part poison type. Jam an Earthquake in it, and it's gonna KO it. You
That's
know.
true. That's a good point.
But if you're against the Gyarados, then get out of there. It's just not gonna work.
Yeah, see, when I was little though, I would go Sandshrew against Gyarados if it was way higher level. I just even if I had like a grass Pokemon that could whip him and stuff, I would still use probably Sandshrew.
So they have.
We all gotta learn somewhere.
Poor Logan.
What is it? Well, I'm looking at my notes. What happens next?
They show them new food and stuff, and then
Team Rocket appear.
yeah, Team Rocket have like a new. They're outside,
Oh yeah.
like planning on how they're gonna do it, and they're trying out new mottos, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, I have it written down. It's something like, "We'll do what we have to do to capture Pikachu,"
Yeah, and then
which
Meowth says they should
Doesn't-
have like,
it doesn't
dance
work.
moves and a theme
Yeah.
song.
they do actually get a theme song later on in the series.
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah, it's quite
Yep.
good. It's the
It's a
debut
bop.
episode of Jigglypuff as well, which
Of course, you know that.
yeah.
Which we're gonna have to make a full episode just for Dennis, just
Yeah.
on the Jigglypuff episode.
Oh my god, I love Jigglypuff so much.
And then I thought then we have like a shot of like the Hitmonlee clock. I thought that was is it Hitmonlee? Was that Hitmonlee?
I can't remember.
It's like the
I
clock,
can't
and he like
remember.
kicks the bell, and that's how like he only gives his Pokemon like 15 minutes of break to like restart after like they go.
Oh,
through.
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah,
it would have
okay.
been.
And all
then-
the Pokemon are just on
They're all
the floor,
knackered.
just like gasping for air. Like,
Yeah.
they did not look good.
And then we get like a flashback for AJ, and we learn that him and his Sandshrew like when they first met up made a promise that they'd do whatever it takes
Yeah.
to become a Pokemon master.
So it's like I guess that kind of takes a bit of the edge off because it makes it more consensual. Like
Yeah, but the first time, I actually noticed it. The first time he starts whipping Sandshrew, he's crying. He's got tears in his
Yeah.
eyes.
yeah.
So it's like
Ah.
he knows it's wrong, but he's still like
Oh my god.
he's still whipping his Pokemon into shape. It's kind of messed up.
It is
It
pretty
is.
It,
messed
it
up.
kind of
This whole
tries to give you sympathy for him, but like I don't
Yeah.
have it.
Nah,
This
same.
whole
for him.
episode
I
is
don't give a
kinda-
crap about AJ. He's an
it-
ass.
It is kind of
Yeah.
it's really problematic because it kind of is like, well, if they look okay, that means their treatment is okay, which
Yeah.
isn't really the case at all.
No, definitely not.
But
And
But
this,
Who gave AJ a whip? Like, who told him this was okay?
Yeah.
yeah, I guess it's like I guess he's like trying to pioneer like a new way of Pokemon training. And plus, like, I mean, like, you see this in, like, well, this is how, like, they tame. Misty says it's like he's taming lions. That's how you tame. Actually, that's another reference to outside animals.
Yeah, they do that a
Yeah.
few
Yeah.
times as well.
But yeah, it's kind of like that's what circuses do and stuff. And, like, you kind of know, I guess, because we know, like.
Yeah, I mean, we all watched Tiger King.
Yeah.
We all saw, what's that one with the whale? Blue water?
Blackfish.
Blackfish.
Yeah.
Like, we all. So, like, I think as well, we've just, as a society, become more aware of, like, mistreatment of animals and like the commercialization, how negatively commercialization of animals they're affected by this like commercialization.
Yeah, this episode doesn't age well.
No.
Yeah, because like in the 90s, 2000s when this came out, like SeaWorld and all those places were still like seen as acceptable.
Yeah,
But
and that
we
treatment was seen as acceptable.
we've as an entire global unity has finally realized that this isn't right, and we should teach them with as much respect as we give other people.
Yeah,
but it's like,
well,
it's
AJ's not celebrated for his actions. Like
No.
Ash points out how
not
bad
at all.
it is.
Yeah,
yeah.
but
And kind of
like they're trying to give you the sympathy there, and
Yeah.
for me it didn't work.
And while this flashback's happening, Sandshrew is taken by Team Rocket.
Yeah, so Pikachu puts on the macho
Very
brace, and which always terrifies me. Like because I'm like empathizing with Pikachu. I'm like, oh my god, imagine like being like forced into a ball with like a weird contraption like that.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
And so
It's fine.
So yeah, Team Rocket they come in with their best disguise yet, a big rubber ball with a hole in it.
Giant ball.
Yeah. And then
They're all rolling
99
around.
Luftballons.
Yeah.
and Sandshrew kind of like uses Dig or something.
Yeah, after Team Rocket, they try and snatch Pikachu, but they mistake Pikachu for
Sandshrew, yeah.
for
They make
Sandshrew.
Sandshrew instead.
Yeah.
And then once it's so funny in this episode because Team Rocket really like for the people, like Team Rocket haven't really done anything yet, even though they've stolen Sandshrew. Sandshrews managed to escape. It manages to escape on its own by using Dig and attacking them and stuff. So like it's like it didn't even happen. Like they didn't even know that it happened.
Yeah, well, yeah, Sandshrew uses Dig and takes Meowth with him, and Meowth doesn't even realize where he is because I guess he's unconscious or something.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also important to mention as well that when Sandshrew gets taken, AJ and the gang can't find him.
Yeah.
And Ash kind of, in a very rude manner, like, says to AJ, "You've made him run off. He's ran away."
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
in that moment, I wanted to just deck Ash because, like, the face they gave him as well, he was very cocky and smirky about it all.
Yeah,
And,
he's
like, sure, AJ's treating him wrong, but there's no need to be that much of an ass towards him.
Yeah.
definitely.
Well,
I'm kind of on Ash's side, actually. I
No,
feel
like, but would you be that in your face about it? Like,
Yeah.
this guy, sure, he's hurt him, but he's suffering. His Pokemon's just been stolen. He knows what it's like with Pikachu.
Yeah.
I get Ash is like
yeah,
quite.
well,
He's quite headstrong, and
it
also
was kind of funny though.
he tries to unionize AJ's Pokemon. He's like, we got to stand up for what
Yeah.
you believe in and
Yeah,
stuff.
he actually almost basically tries to steal them.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
like, when Sandshrews back and, like, they're all kind of celebrating and happy together, Ash says, he's like, he says, oh, these guys, why would they want to be with him, not with me? They should come with me. He says, like, basically,
Oh my.
yeah, so he's basically like, oh,
But
I can grab all these Pokemon.
But it is kind of like really kind of weird because, you know, a lot of people that are abused by like people that are in their like, you know, in their connections or whatever, they go back to them and like sometimes people will tell them that it's unhealthy or whatever, and then they'll stay in those relationships or just because they're like, they've become like accustomed to that. So I'm not sure if like portraying Ash in a negative way like this was like, kind of giving kids, or anyone watching like a good kind of message about maybe like that kind of treatment.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah,
both,
it's like
both
this
Ash and
episode hasn't
AJ are
aged.
just asses
Yeah.
in this episode.
Yeah.
It is, and we never.
Bottom line.
And spoiler alert: we never see him again. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, we don't.
Yeah,
No.
I was hoping we'd see him like
I was hoping we would.
when they get to the
Not bad.
Pokemon
Yeah.
League or something, but I thought we
That's it.
wouldn't because it's like a filler episode. So
They'll do this a lot in these coming episodes where they'll be like, "We'll see you again sometime," and they never do.
yeah,
They
that's like a
never
common
see
like
Aw.
cartoon type thing.
That's like that's not cool.
Yeah.
But what happened? Oh, then Team Rocket. Oh, Pikachu. I thought this was messed up. Well, Meowth's unconscious. Is trying to like rip Meowth's gem off. I was like,
pulling.
I was like, that's connected. Like, if you actually rip that off, you would just see like this like
Blood,
weird like
muscle
bloody
tissue.
like mark like of like Meowth's skull. I was like, what?
Well,
It
actually,
reminded me like going back to the Misty fight when her Starmie's gem gets like cracked as well.
Mhm.
It just
Forget
makes
it's
it.
actually a part of their anatomy.
It seems
if
so
blood started
painful. They make
leaking
it
out?
seem really painful.
Yeah, they do.
There's going to be an episode where Meowth does lose its gem actually.
Yep.
So look forward to that.
And so then Team Rocket breaks in and they go back to the original motto because like they say screw the new one.
Can we do the motto
Mhm.
again? Because I feel like I didn't get it right
Okay.
that time.
Yeah, you and Harry can go.
Okay.
And Oliver, you're Meow.
Okay.
Excellent.
To protect the world from devastation.
To unite all peoples within our nation.
To denounce the evils of truth and love.
To extend our reach to the stars above.
Shit!
Jesse.
No, it's like there's another line.
Nice, Logan.
Yeah,
Trick
no.
save.
Okay, no, I'm
James.
editing this all out. Okay.
Yeah, you missed the beginning.
No.
Prepare for trouble and make
Stay
it
up.
double.
Okay, that's
You
where
missed
it
the
is.
first
Okay,
two
go.
lines, Dennis.
Okay. Prepare for
No,
trouble.
we
You've
could.
messed it
Too
up.
late now.
Okay, we have to do it again. We have
Okay.
There's an
do
to-
attempt each episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Sandshrew fights. Oh, so he busts out. So they come in and AJ decides to take them both on for his 100th win. Sandshrew fighting both Ekans and Coughing. And Sandshrew kind of wrecks Ekans and Coughing, and then Meowth jumps in. And there's a few good lines here. I wrote them down. Jesse tells Meowth to stop pussyfooting around. Then
He's a cat.
Meowth says, "I'm just biting around."
He's a cat.
And then as he goes to bite, after he bites Sandshrew and he's too hard, Meowth said, "Ah, the moment of tooth."
Yeah. Yeah, I've got that written
Excellent.
down as well.
The writers should have got a pay rise for that.
Definitely.
And then, so yeah, Sandshrew wrecks all three of Team Rocket's Pokemon.
Yeah, and they don't get blasted off.
No, they kind of run away and they say blasting off again, but
Yeah.
they're just like running into the distance.
Man, Team Rocket just like isn't very good.
Yeah.
No, not good.
Something I'm gathering from.
Yeah.
I forgot how quickly they went from being portrayed seriously to just being complete
Yeah.
jokes.
A lot of
I thought it was a decent 20 episodes, but it's like two.
No.
Yeah.
It's funny how our memories are like that because I remember in the Pokemon forums as well, people were like, "Oh, Team Rocket used to be serious for what, like 2.5 episodes."
Yeah.
And then so AJ says now that he can go off and go be a Pokemon, go get his badges and become a best Pokemon master. And then I thought it was funny how like the episode ends with him roasting Ash again.
Yeah.
Because he's like, Ash is like, "Oh, I'll fight you again at the Pokemon League or something." And Ash is like, AJ's like, "You better, because I only want to fight with expert trainers." Like,
Oh.
gives him a sick burn saying he's not expert yet.
Yeah, so he kind
is
of
not.
Got him.
and then
Got it,
I
good.
think that's the end of the episode, right?
That's the end
Yeah,
of the
they
episode.
run off to go towards Vermilion
le-
City.
He leaves his like Pokemon gym fort in the middle of the woods. And
Yeah, what
just-
happens with that?
I guess he
Does
just
the
leaves
Pokemon
it there.
Council get
The,
like
ma-
take
the
it back?
magic of
Like,
TV.
They're gonna
You know,
put something else there. Is it just
Maybe a
wasted
circus will
land?
take it up.
yeah, I was gonna mention it earlier, but the idea of unofficial gyms reminds me of like during Generation 4, we'd have like in the forums people would like have Pokemon gyms and be like, I'm the water gym trainer, and like you challenge them and
Well,
you'd have badges, unofficial badges and stuff.
I guess, like-
that's a fun memory.
unofficial gyms are kind of like unofficial games, like that actually, like Oliver's been playing, and that Harry
Yeah.
is very much against.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Well, I mean, and in
what-
Generation 1, there is the unofficial fighting gym.
oh, that's
in
right.
Saffron
That's
Cities.
true.
It used to be the gym until Sabrina came and opened a new one, but there is actually in canon an unofficial gym.
Which is
as well,
also one
yeah.
of the reasons why I stand Sabrina. Yes.
Okay.
So, what are final thoughts on the episode?
I hate AJ.
Yeah, so I hate AJ, and I think it's
Yeah.
like it's messed up, but it's still like it's like these two episodes are like the next one as well. Like this one and the next one are like good at like showing like the different ways of training, and the Ash's way is not the only way.
I didn't agree with AJ's training methods, but like also I guess I respect the show that it didn't like want to be too preachy about it, like how how to do it, and and that they respected the audience to kind of come to their own conclusions a little bit, or maybe but also they kind of presented it as kind of more valid than maybe I would think that it should be as well. So but it's a nostalgic episode for me, so I it's hard to say. I wouldn't.
I hated AJ as well, but I thought it was really funny watching Ash be cocky. I thought that was really funny to watch, and I kind of agree with you, Dennis. How they ended it with like Ash and AJ being friends, kind of out of nowhere. They were all friendly to each other, and I was like, this guy's abusing his Pokemon. We're just gonna forget that.
Yeah.
I guess that's the thing. Is the question: is AJ abusing his Pokemon? Because it like goes into that question of is that treatment abuse?
Yeah.
And like we view it as abuse because we're like, well, that's like too extreme. Like it's not. It puts them in situations that are out of their control and like that are out of their comfort zones. And
it's just we just have to think about like what's the norm that we know that we've been taught from Pokemon, right? Like what's the norm? And we know that that's not the norm.
The norm that we're actually taught is a bit more explored in we'll jump into it now in the next episode. Season 1, episode 9, The School of Hard Knocks.
That lags.
I actually thought it was
Hard Knocks.
So we learned the first thing that comes up again is Misty talking about the bike and how she's not leaving until the bike's stolen.
She won't let it go. I love that.
This is style.
This is a really cute scene that the opening scene, like stylistically, they don't really do that where you see them walking and then like there are like cut-ins where they pop in and they're like, hi, like, and they talk their scenes and stuff.
And Brock says, "Oh, we're already late. We got to get started." And then like the episode starts. It's real.
Start the show.
That was kind of funny.
It's real sitcom-y. It's a bit more sitcom-y. I think.
It's very, very Saturday morning cartoon, and
so
it's perfect for it.
And so we get Brock.
They're in like a foggy as area, and Brock just turns full on like group mum.
He does. Basically. He like
he pulls all the stuff out his bag and takes out like tea and like a table and chairs.
It's the first instance of Brock like really showing his paternal side. And one that sticks with him for the rest of the entire series is in Pokemon. He's always cooking and he's always looking out for the two younger people he's with.
Yeah, because we hadn't seen that since we saw him looking after his like brothers and sisters in Peter City.
Siblings.
Again, Brock is the sleeper. Like, what's the word? Sleeper.
He works for the commies.
What's his like
on the inside?
He hears like rocks and he's like,
that word? Sleeper. He's a
sleeper hit.
Yeah, like kind of like that. Like the sleeper. Like he's the dark horse of the show. That's what I mean. He's like the sleeper dark horse of the show because he like supports Ash and Misty so much throughout this. But also there's there's a mention of France as well, which I thought was kind of cool, like a bit of Kalos foreshadowing.
Well, that's the thing, like they call it Paris, but then Gen 6 is Lumio City, so it's kind of fun to see.
Because right now they're still in that thing of like having like their own world and regions, but still trying to make us think it's like Earth. Like it's normal, like what we're
They do that in the games as well, like South Africa is mentioned and China, I think, as well. So like in the first generation. So I mean, I guess like you could say maybe the countries' names are the same, but then all the places inside the countries are slightly different.
Yeah, I guess they also
my kind of head logic.
They didn't really know that like by generation 6 they were going to France.
They didn't even know by then there was going to be a generation 3.
And something I really noticed throughout this whole episode is Pikachu's voice isn't Pikachu's voice.
It's different.
Oh, it's different.
Is it?
Yeah, it's I think it's something to do with the audio that they got from Japan. Maybe like there was like people talking over the audio or something. or they didn't have the
That's
audio.
very
so
unprofessional.
so yeah, you have Rachel Lillis doing the audio, and you can tell that she's like trying her best to do a Pikachu impression. I think Rachel Lillis is the voice of Misty and maybe Jessie as well.
Okay.
So she's trying her best to do Pikachu, but it's a bit too.
It's
different.
very high pitched, and the Pikachu doesn't talk as much in this episode. Talk in
I
air
didn't
quotes.
notice. That's because I only have just started watching it.
It rang alarm bells straight away for me. I was
She
like,
does
that's
it.
not right.
She's done like a few Pikachu cries in the earlier episodes, like one or two like off cries, but in this one it was quite noticeable.
So Brock's like cooking a feast, and he's like, I can't make crepes or boil water without fire, so he sends Ash to go find firewood, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then we get like some weird kind of cult / ritual.
Like a hazing ritual.
Yeah, hazing. That's what the word I was
Yes.
looking for. It's like some kind of
It's
with the-
crazy.
They
with
like-
a kid running on a treadmill.
In the middle of the day, they
They were
just have
holding
candles, and there's a treadmill like in the middle of nowhere.
What's powering the treadmill? Maybe there's like a Pikachu in there or something.
Oh my god,
Pika
that's
power.
horrifying. Oh my god.
Like a squished Pikachu.
Oh.
Oh
Oh my god.
Oh. But yeah, so there's a hazing ritual going on.
Yeah.
And we find out that these kids are students of a prestigious.
It's a prestigious like it's called Pokemon Tech, and it's supposed to be a prestigious like elevator type school.
Yeah, it's like a private school. Like and Misty says later on that it's like only millionaires could afford to send their kids there.
It's a school where you expect to see Jamae in. If anyone knows Jamae, private schoolgirl.
Oh,
Illy.
but I thought it was
What if
interesting.
she was there?
Oh my god.
The main-
Well, we kind of see a Jermaine type.
We
don't
do kind of see a Jamae
Yeah.
type later on in
The
the
main
episode.
thing I picked up from the hazing ritual was the leveling. They
Yes.
talk about
Yeah.
levels and evolving like at levels, which
and like learning moves at certain levels as well.
I'm like, how in the real world do you track your
know?
Pokemon's like level and like XP?
Well, so what I find interesting is that the kid whose name escapes me, but we'll get to soon, is that
Joe, I
he's
think?
discussing about Joe. Yes,
Let's call him Joe.
he's not the Tiger King, but Joe. He's discussing about Pidgeys like evolving to Pidgeotto level 18, and then at level 31, a Pidgeotto will learn Wing Attack. We've already seen in previous episodes that Ash's Pidgeotto, which like by lore I suppose he's caught above level 18 already, knows Wing Attack. So Ash's
Yes.
Pidgeotto is essentially already level 31 or above.
Oh, okay.
Although,
That's-
Harry, although we
Yeah.
will see Pidgeotto be quite strong later in another episode, but in Pokemon Yellow, you can catch Pidgeotto in Viridian Forest at level 9. So
Can you really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Like I used to do that when I played Pokemon Yellow. I'd be like, I gotta be like Ash and find a Pidgeotto because it'll be stronger than the Pidgey that I find.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I guess like in this, the way I rationalize it is in this universe, they kind of look at the experience or like what they perceive as experience and their maybe physical health and stuff, and try and like numericalize, get like a number
Like
from
an
that.
IQ level type thing.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, because that was like the only thing that kind of stumped me this episode. I was like, how do they measure someone? How do you measure Pokemon's level in real life?
Yeah. And so like I guess that's like trying to kind of combine maybe Pokemon with the anime's like real world kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
So then like we find out it's a school and stuff, and they ask where the school is, and the kid's like, it's right here.
and the mist that has been enshrouding everyone for this whole episode just suddenly goes away and never comes back again.
It was called. Well, they said that's the end of fog simulation class or something. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous
Oh my
excuse.
God.
It's
Yeah.
actually,
Hate that.
yeah,
they're
say
like
that,
next class is like snow day, something like
Yeah.
that.
which
You
is like
needed-
two effects and stuff that don't come into
How's it going?
the game until like
Generation 4.
yeah.
You need to get someone with defog in there. HM defog.
Yeah, which is like that's like I guess they probably grabbed those kinds of ideas like from these early episodes.
And so we're introduced to that, and we're introduced to. Then we meet Giselle.
Yeah, the kid's like they ask the kid who's the ringleader of the bullies,
Yeah.
and the kid's like shows them a picture of this girl named Giselle, and so they talk about all the bullying and stuff, and Ash is like, that's a violation of rights. And then Brock says when he sees the picture, I'd let her violate my rights.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's awful.
This is when
And
we
it's
first
the
see Brock
Japanese-
like really getting overly grossly.
Yeah, he's like-
smitten with
they-
somebody.
they really
that's
need-
quite a gross thing
Yeah.
to say
Like,
in
in
a
the-
kids in a children's show.
In the Japanese version.
Yeah, I looked it up.
It would be
He says, "I look forward to her in 8 years."
Oh.
So they're
Ooh.
so they're like, I guess they're
My
trying-
views on Daddy Brock has dropped now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they definitely haven't really figured out how far to push that Brock
Okay.
thing without making it
That's
too like
awful.
too bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was shocked.
But can't judge another culture. So
And then Team Rocket's kind of
I guess.
Team Rocket's been spying on them, and we find out some backstory on
Ooh,
Jesse
yeah,
and
it's a
James.
juicy backstory.
Yes.
They apparently had gone to Pokemon Tech, and then they partied the night before an exam, like frolicking in some fields, and
They totally did the do.
Yeah, what else happens when you frolic and feel?
Yeah,
I don't know.
they're doing the do.
I feel like James
That's
is
true,
still
he's a
trying
man.
to be quite mask, he's not out of the proverbial closet
Yeah.
yet. But and they got the lowest score in the whole school, I guess.
History of
Also,
Pokemon
we
Tech.
didn't mention that really old guy.
Yeah,
Did you-
who'd been
Oh,
held
yeah.
back because of pride. Like, he doesn't want to, like, not go.
Is too ashamed to like go home without like his like Pokemon degree.
Because there's 3 levels of the school, was it? Was, like, beginners, intermediate, and, like, experts, and then you graduate.
Mhm.
So beginners are, like, worth, like, 2 gym badges. Intermediates are worth, like, 4 gym badges. Experts are, like, 6, and then once you graduate, you go straight.
And this guy's like,
Yeah.
50 or 60, and
Yeah.
he's still in the beginner
His
class.
hair is
Well, I mean,
gray.
it kind of rings really true with. I know. Excuse me if I get anything wrong. It kind of really rings true with Japanese culture as well.
Yeah, I'd say
with-
so. They
with
have
a
like
sense of pride being very strong
Mm.
in their culture. So it was quite interesting as well that they kept
Yeah.
that in the American dub.
That's true, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah
The
they
culture,
they-
yeah, it's interesting.
yeah. I guess it's just like it was just so harrowing. I was like, oh my god, what
Yeah.
if that's me?
It's like, it's interesting,
26
like,
in a
how, like,
university.
going to this school, like, being a million, it's like a free ride as well to, like, the Pokemon League. You don't have
Yes.
to earn your badges, which is like just like another.
Well, they still
it's
have
like
to kind of earn them, but like maybe without as much life experience. I want to say.
yeah, because they just go to school and stuff, whereas Ash has to, like, put his life on the line,
Oh,
basically, and go
Yeah.
through.
It kind of
like,
it
trial.
like immediately makes you root for the blue collar roots grass person over
yeah.
the preppy kid.
Oh, you know
which
what I
we're
realized?
kinda
I thought
taught to
this-
do.
I thought this was the Jigglypuff from Above episode, but it's not.
Yeah, I was waiting for
Yeah,
that,
I know.
because
I-
you said it was.
No,
Yeah.
I told you straight after that it wasn't as
I
well.
thought I don't know. I just thought
No,
it was.
that
but I
that
guess
episode
not.
for sure will be its own episode because
Yeah.
there's a lot of important
I
things.
can't
in
even remember what happens in it, so I'm looking forward to it.
And then Joe, as we're calling him, takes them into the into like a room where like he kind of like starts like showing them, I guess, around the school, and like he shows them like a simulator, which is
Just
just
like arcade machines, they
Yeah.
look like.
which just looks
everywhere.
like
The games.
the games. It's
Yeah.
like they basically just play a Pokemon game to like
Yeah.
learn how to fight.
And
It's
then
pretty cool.
and then Misty gets really like annoyed with Joe being like, "Oh, levels and types are all that matter," and she fights him with his Weeping Bell, which I think is a school's Pokemon, with her Starmie, and she KOs it in one hit.
Yeah.
A one-shot water gun.
Yeah.
And then Giselle comes out.
Yeah, with
And-
her posse.
Yeah, with her posse, and she's like, Joe. Poor Joe. She's like, Joe. She's basically like, Joe, you idiot. Like, how you're a disgrace to the school. Of course, she's gonna beat you. She has
Poor
more
Joe.
experience.
Laying down the
Smack.
the savagery.
And she says it's she's like, it's sad that others aren't blessed with my looks, smarts, and humble attitude.
And you know what's really
She is so
funny?
I
Is
can
like
relate.
I've met people like Giselle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Logan. you just said he.
Absolutely. I mean, look at him.
Just a little up herself.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
It's yeah, and then she starts going off. She like sounds like one of those people that talks about like their IQ when she like talks about like levels and stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like she's trying to like browbeat everyone down.
And then there's a quick cut to like James and Jesse just being like, she reminds her of them when they were young.
Yeah, but
Like, they
except a
must have
more
been that
obnoxious version of them or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Self-absorbed. I think it was self-absorbed.
And so we
And
learned
even,
that Giselle
James
kind
is
of has...
like, oh, she's pretty as well.
Yeah, that was messed up. That was creepy.
Because
James
we know
is a
that for
grown
sure
man.
that James is a grown man.
I think in the
Yeah.
I want to say in the Japanese version he said she was cute, which I mean that's not as creepy. I want
Yeah.
to say because like he has those like eyes.
It's
like,
not as creepy, but it still is creepy.
Yeah.
And so we learned that Giselle
Not as
has...
creepy as I can't wait for 8 years, but sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Problematic.
That's a different ballpark.
We learned that
Sorry,
Giselle,
Logan.
at least like Brock's 15, you know, so like it's like it's still weird, but we learned Giselle has like technically 3 badges.
Yes, because she's the top of the beginner class.
Yeah, the top of the beginning. So she
And then who does she fight?
She fights
Misty.
and
a
then
star?
she shoots Starmie
Starmie.
with her graveler out of the window into the pool outside.
There's a really cool shot when after Graveler hits Starmie at the window with like the cameras like outside of the
yeah.
And like you kind of like Misty's like face is like in like the Starmie shape. It's quite
it's
cool.
like a star-shaped like shattered window, which is it's a nice shot.
Crucially as well, Graveler is very weak to water Pokemon, but Giselle's kind of like showing off towards Joe, being like, I can hit the Staryu in one hit with a Graveler, and you can't do anything with a Weakman Belt.
And
this episode is kind of like low stakes because like I mean they have battles and stuff, but it's more like a battle of ideologies, kind of like the episode beforehand.
Yeah, it's like showing like another way. It's showing another way of training, which I actually was like, this hit me at this point in the episode. I was like, we're like us playing like our games and stuff. When we play, we play like the school people. Like we'd be like we'd go to Pokemon school playing the games. And like that's where all our knowledge comes from, like, especially you three, like with like typings and like like
EV training.
Yeah, like I've heard Oliver talk about how he like trained up his competitive team and stuff, and like if he said something like that, like in this episode in this school, it would totally fit.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, true.
For sure.
So, like,
that is very true.
Yeah, so like we're like the Pokemon school, and like Ash is like they're like so the Pokemon school is kind of like the gamers, like the people who played the games, and Ash is like.
And know all the rules.
Yeah, and Ash is like the
best
anime.
overused Pokemon.
Yeah. And Ash is
like
anime
to kind of bounce off that, the way I've seen it mesh into 2 episodes together, so like the school is more like the casual players, and then you have on the extreme end of the competitive players like AJ, who is essentially EV training his Pokemon to be the absolute pinnacle.
Yeah,
so it's a really nice mashup of the two. Yeah, AJ is Oliver. So by default, we all hate Oliver.
Cool, great. Wow. What's changed?
Oliver, do you whip your Pokemon?
Look, sometimes you got to send a level 1 out in the first slot of the party to get some experience.
That's what you did in Magikarp. That's like Magikarp training.
Some hits.
Like you put him out in your party first and then swap him out.
Yeah.
You can swap him out. You can't do that anymore. They put in the XP share, so it's like different.
Yeah, it doesn't
now.
really matter.
Yeah.
They and so Giselle disses the crew a bit more, and she like kind of talks her off a bit more. She like gets really obnoxious at this part actually.
Yep.
And then
she kind of like she teaches Ash about Pikachu. Yeah. She's like, Pikachu evolves into a Raichu at this level. And
she's like,
he's like 2.7 foot tall.
Like mansplaining, right?
That's she's kind of a bit
like...
Yeah,
but,
no, it is that same
Yeah, it is. She
idea,
has...
This is when Giselle turns to full Jamae for me.
Yeah. And then Ash gets into angry, and then he decides to battle, and he challenges Giselle to a battle.
And he throws out Pikachu, and she throws out
Cubone.
Actually, back to something we discussed a few episodes, like someone who could like hold the franchise. I actually think Cubone would have been like.
I also thought that watching this episode as well. Yeah. I would agree with you.
Cubone's kind of like cute, and he's kind of like fun. Like he could have easily kind of had the Pikachu position in the anime.
Yeah.
And Cubone has the tragic backstory as well.
Absolutely, I would say Cubone's like a bit more like not as cute as Pikachu.
Yeah.
So like,
I would argue.
Cute,
I would debate on that point for hours.
It's like it's odd though, because then it's like you have to explain how every Cubone wears the mask of its mother and stuff like that.
What?
Yeah, it would have been interesting.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't.
We can discuss more in a later Cubone centric episode.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Is there a Cubone centric episode coming up?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Not
Okay.
come, but it's like halfway through the series, but we'll
Okay.
get there eventually.
Yeah,
That's
so
messed up. But let's get back to that later, I suppose.
I mean, yeah,
So Pikachu looks like he's getting beaten, and then he kind of like. See, this is the cool things about battles in the anime. Pikachu whips Cubone's like mother's head that I just found out. He hits Cubone's mum's head like around, so Cubone's blind,
yeah.
and then
Like
bites.
Ash decides to like start making Pikachu a dark type, essentially by like making it play dirty.
And Cubone, like Pikachu, like bites its tail and like just like knocks him out. Basically, Pikachu wins.
Yeah,
It's kind of the
yeah. It's like so like Ash was trying to play fair, and then like when Giselle used Ash viewed using the Bone Club as not fair.
It's a boomerang.
Yeah, the boomerang.
Bone.
and that ends up what
Boomerang.
gets the Cubone in the end when it's blind and like it gets its
Yeah.
head around again, and then it's like whacked by its own
Yeah.
boomerang.
So then Ash wins, but then they are interrupted
By Team Rocket.
by Team Rocket. And honestly, the thing that this episode gets the most right about anything I've ever like about real life is that teenagers are terrifying. They're just scary.
Yeah, like
Hey, I was one a few weeks ago.
I know, and
They
I'm
like-
terrified of you.
they like yeah, Team Rocket's like let's fight, and then they just get bashed by like 100 like Pokeballs. Not even like
It's
a
not even
Yeah.
like Pokemon as well. Like what I found interesting too is that there's like 5 of the kids and then 2 Team Rocket, and Team Rocket are like, we gotta do 1-on-1. It's the rules. Going
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to the second episode where Team Rocket was like, there is no rules in Pokemon battles.
Yeah.
It was a really good callback. But then they just get pelted with Pokemon balls.
yeah, it was super.
Not
it was
even
quite, I
Pokemon.
laughed at. I
Yeah.
hadn't laughed much like out loud
Yeah.
in these last like in like the first few episodes, but that was actually like I was cracking up. For like a
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they
that
run
was
off
really
again.
funny to see.
Yeah.
And then like Giselle kind of like learns a lesson about Pokemon battles after being beaten by Pikachu.
Mm.
She
Yeah.
becomes more. She actually becomes a bit more humble, and it's
Well,
funny
especially
when her and
since
Joe,
she's like oh sorry, Logan, you go ahead.
her and Joe have like a little scene together. Next.
Yeah, and Joe decides to go off on the Pokemon League. Is that right?
No, Joe's gonna go home and start again with this one
Yeah,
Pokemon.
start all over.
He's basically gonna become Ash.
So he's gonna do the league challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but he's gonna start like again.
And
And then-
Giselle stays at the Pokemon
And there was
to tech.
yeah, and Giselle says I learned something today. You can't learn a good lesson at school.
What a great thing to say to kids.
Yeah, what a great It's like I thought. It's like there's a kid show saying that you
It's a
can't
kid's
learn
show,
anything at school.
I mean,
Can't learn
to
anything.
be honest, like there's some lessons that you don't learn at school. Like you only get through life
Yeah, there are
experience.
some, but to say you can't
Yeah.
learn any.
And like this,
Yeah.
this is like being
pretty
like
bad.
becoming like humble and stuff with things that you learn through life experiences, like being cocky
Yeah.
and stuff.
That's true. I mean, I feel like Ash in these 2 episodes, he's quite cocky as well, though.
Yeah, definitely.
So like even
Oh yeah, of course.
he's like he might need a bit of humble pie as well.
What were you gonna say, Harry?
Oh, it was about how Giselle uses a Cubone against Ash's Pikachu being ground type stronger against
Oh,
electric
yeah.
types. Yet for Misty, she opted to go with a Graveler against the Starmie. Like instantly for me, she saw Ash as more of a threat than
Yeah,
Misty.
true.
And that's,
True.
yeah, it was
Interesting
kind of
point.
it was just kind of like an interesting point to bring up.
Yeah, because Ash shows her 2 badges. I think he flexes the badges again.
He flexed the badges a lot. Yeah.
Does he again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just like
It's such a dick move. He doesn't actually say anything. He just like pulls it open.
yeah.
It's like,
And you
oh,
gotta,
how did these get here?
you gotta keep in mind that these Pokemon
Is it hot in here? It's just me, guys.
That-
Sorry, I tripped. Oh.
that Graveler that she used, I don't think it was her Graveler. I think it was like a Pokemon.
No, it was the school's one. Yeah.
With-
but
yeah,
I think the
Cubone
Cubone was hers.
was hers, yeah. As
Yeah.
well.
Oh, so there's like school Pokemon.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, look like.
so in that little scene where like with Joe and Giselle, just the like last thing kind of happened. It's like Joe's like, is it all right if I keep a picture of you with me? Before you...
Mm,
And Giselle's like, yeah, it's okay.
I have a picture of
did
you
you-
too.
it's pretty.
Did
It's
you-
pretty cute, yeah, but it's kind of lame.
It is nice. Did you ever do that, like with your school pictures? Like have like photos of your friends or people you knew?
Nah.
No.
I've got a
Because-
photo of. I actually have a photo of me and Oliver in my wallet.
Oh, romantic.
Hey, you do
That's
it.
so cute.
Yeah, that's
I
a good
gotta.
photo.
I have a
Like,
photo of
photo.
me and my group of friends from when I moved from Wales, but that's a 10-year-old photo now, and I don't think I really talk to any of them anymore. But it's a nice reminder.
Yeah, I have a photo of me and my cousin and one of my old high school friends in my one, but I think I might have taken it out now
Yeah.
because I don't talk to him.
I have a photo of my grandfather. Who like I look exactly like.
Yeah.
It's like a photo of him when he was my age, and it just looks like it's just me, pretty much in black and white.
So
But
there
yeah,
you
so
go.
that's
It,
fine.
it
The
does all
episode-
make sense. We all have photos of friends
Yeah.
and grandfathers.
The episode ends with them going back to on their way to Vermilion City.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so these episodes are both, I guess, like wrapping up both episodes. It's like really good just to show up like the different styles of training.
Different, yeah. It's really cool to see
Yeah.
like, in the world how different people
Yeah, it's like
kind
a
of
big,
approach
Yeah, for
like
sure.
it's filler.
battling
So
and
like
training.
yeah, like the whole point of filler is that it builds kind of like the world, I suppose.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like I think this is quite, especially since it's like first coming out, it's like it's expanding the world of view, like by adding ideologies into the world. It's not like everyone thinks the same about stuff, which I think the latest games have been kind of been in danger of doing, I think, in terms of the writing.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
they like present like maybe different ways, and it just adds more variety and texture to that universe.
Well, actually, the latest game has has the two different. What's the gym has the two has shows that like there's multiple ways to do things. Like
Well, there's the dark gym leader doesn't like the Dynamax.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
that's like
right,
what
yeah.
I'm thinking about. Like he kind of like rebels
Mhm.
against. He's the punk guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, he's kind of against Dynamaxing, which kind of
Yeah.
is like relates to these kind of things because he sees it as cruel because you're forcing a Pokemon to do something that it's not naturally meant to do,
Yeah.
I guess so. It's like, I guess that's like one thing that's nice.
which kind of like AJ's not whips his Pokemon into shape. You
Yeah.
force your Pokemon to turn into a massive beast to fight other Pokemon.
And yeah, so those were the two episodes. I did enjoy them though. They were good.
Yeah, I was
Fun.
laughing.
No,
Yeah, it's like-
Yeah, I enjoy them too. I
One-
laugh
I was
a
like-
lot.
one thing that Pokemon
Actually.
does well is that filler episodes are still entertaining.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's like
For
some only other anime I've really watched is like Dragon Ball Z, and like some of those filler episodes just like you're just like you kind of want to just skip or watch it like
Yeah.
double speed. But there's these two at least so far. Like I found them just as entertaining, if not more entertaining than some of the earlier episodes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I fully agree.
Snaps.
Yeah. And so that was the Dexperience podcast. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and we also have a video version which you might be watching now on YouTube. Dexperience or Dexperience podcast, one of those.
And if you're watching during the day, I hope you have a good rest of your day. If you're watching at nighttime, good night.
Have a good sleep.